My name is Daisy Amdani and I'm the Executive Director of Crown Trust. So Crown Trust was formed in May of 2010. And the reason why we founded Crown Trust is that we felt that we needed to have better engagement with communities and more impactful engagement for integration of women into governance processes and key processes that empower women, but also to talk to communities about non-discrimination and exclusion, so as to re-socialize people to the idea of inclusion, particularly of women. So the organization runs on 5 pillars, all that they are interconnected to achieve our goals. Our tagline is impacting lives and transforming communities, because we believe for you to be able to transform communities or even a nation, you have to transform the individual. So we work with individuals, but we also work with communities. So one of the pillars is leadership and governance. Under the leadership and governance pillar, we work towards advocacy for the implementation of the not more than 2/3 gender principle. We consider this a very important principle that came with the Constitution 2010 that speaks of women's right to inclusion and participation in the political, social, and economic spheres. Then we have the socio-economic pillar. Under the socio-economic pillar, we look at the social and economic factors that continue to exclude women. We know that there are so many social and cultural traditions and practices that have excluded women and girls, so that it ends up holding them back, from advancing. In terms of education, in terms of economic empowerment, in terms of inheritance, ownership rights, access to finance, and those kind of things. So through the socio-economic pillar, we address these. We also address other initiatives like the climate action initiatives we do, because we know that climate change adversely affects women and girls, and so we are also very, that is one of the things, initiatives that we handle under the socio-economic pillar. Then we have the networking and alliance building pillar, which is one of our key and very strong pillars, where we build a network. We host, as Crown Trust, the National Women's Steering Committee, which is a platform that brings together individuals, organizations, and networks united on the issue of women's economic and political emancipation. And then we have the information, education, and communication pillar, IEC, where we develop knowledge products. We have a lot of training materials that we have developed over the years, both in written material. We also have audiovisual materials. We have a learning management system that our partners can access and get a lot of information and a lot of learning, including self-learning. We do this so that our partners from around the country are able to access through our website all this information. And then, of course, we also do education materials, and then our communications. We have our social media handles, where we also do communicate the work that we do, and we also run campaigns. When we're running, when we have initiatives or we are running certain campaigns, we want information to be shared out, we use our communication platforms. And then the last pillar, which is institutional and capacity strengthening, that is more internal looking. How do we strengthen ourselves? How do we equip ourselves? How do we build better skills and have institutional policies that strengthen the institution to enable us to do the work that we're doing? So that, in a nutshell, a very big nutshell, is Crown Trust. So the Annual Women Rights Convention is an initiative that we started under a project that's called Women's Voice and Leadership. The Women's Voice and Leadership program is a project that is supported by Global Affairs Canada to enhance women's rights in Kenya. And so we looked at the many different initiatives that we could put together, because as Crown Trust, we are a principal partner in the WVL program, and we are leading on the networking and alliance building pillar. And so we created the platform where we said every year we will have an annual conference to discuss women's rights, but in the area where we think that we need to focus concern on. So it is now in its third year. The first year, I think it was just after COVID, and so there was a very serious concern about how do we move forward, now post-COVID. So what we do, because one of our strengths is networking and alliance building, we work collaboratively, and we bring partners from across the divide of the women's rights movement, including government. And every year we have partnered with government, with one of the ministries. So the first year was with the Ministry of Gender. And so we were looking at post-COVID, how are women, what are the issues? And of course for us, there were serious, grave concerns about the economy, how women will come up from under this. Last year, the focus was on issues of climate, because remember that we were at that time suffering from a very severe drought. 4 years, almost 5 years, there are parts of the country where there was absolutely no rain. Over 5 million people were facing starvation, and we know that within these conditions, women, girls, the elderly are the ones left behind. And of course, the issues of climate change and the changing weather patterns, especially for Kenya, that's an agrarian society, and we rely heavily on rain-fed agriculture, and women provide most of the labor in the farms. It was such a critical issue because there was food shortages, the cost of food, and just water. There were very many issues, and so that was the focus for the annual Women Rights Conference. So every year we look at key issues and how they affect women. So this year, our theme is on inclusive governance, because we now have a new government in place. Now it's not so new because it's a year in place, but it's still new. But a government that's committed to ensuring that women do not play a peripheral role. What people need to look forward to is a very, very vibrant discussion on inclusive governance, looking at where we've come from, where we are going, and what we need to do to ensure that we don't lose out on it. Change is not easy, especially when people have been used to a certain way of doing things. And so sometimes people are threatened by change. So we have to have some of these difficult discussions. What do we need to do to make sure that it happens? And looking at the successes and the failures, including how do we bring in the young women, because we also have a problem of the young people feeling that they're left behind, not just economically in unemployment, and even among the women's movement, the young girls are like, those old women are stuck there. I joined the women's movement when I was still a youth. Today they call me an old woman. They're like, oh, those old women like Akina Daisy. And I'm like, when did I become an old woman? And the women that we were with before who were mentoring us, they were there. So also talking about intergenerational approaches. So I think it's going to be a very vibrant and a very exciting convention. And we look forward to a lot of fun and games. We are very honored that the Cabinet Secretary for Gender, for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action is our chief guest. And we all know the Honorable Aisha Jumwa. She's known as Shangazi Wanchi, and she has been such a wonderful ally with her open door policy. Her ministry she and her ministry have been so keen on collaborating and letting us know what the government has in store and how we can work together. So we're very excited about that, and we look forward also to hearing from her about what the Kenya Kwanza administration has in place for women and her commitment to ensuring that we hold the president to his promises. So people can plug in through our social media handles. Our social media handles is at Crown Trust on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And on our website, www.crowntrust.org, you will be able to find the link. So click on the link and follow the instructions and plug in. It's my pleasure to invite you all to join us. You do not want to miss the annual Women Rights Conference 2023. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be vibrant. We are re-energizing the discussion on inclusive governance. Be sure to join us. We will be live on our YouTube channel, Crown Trust, and you can follow us on all our social media handles, as I've said before, at Crown Trust Kenya. Please follow us, engage. We will be able to share the hashtag. Join us. It's going to be great fun. We welcome you.